Hello and welcome to Market Psychology 101, where we look for value in the markets when there's fear and are cautious when there's greed. In today's video, we are going to be doing a bonus altcoin special video. And I figured today we could take a look at the technical analysis for ICP. We'll also go to Near Protocol, ONDO, and we'll round it out with SUI. So starting off with fear and greed, as you can see, Bitcoin, crypto still hanging out in the neutral territory, right in the middle, around the 40s and 50s. And it's been in this downtrend, possibly forming a base. There's been a lot of fear, a lot of FUD and negative news in the crypto markets lately. So those are the times I like to look to add to my position. I don't know if I'm ever catching the absolute bottom, but if we get a range of bottoms, or if we get a basket of bottoms, if you will, then overall, should we get an alt season, that strategy tends to do pretty well for us if we pick the right alts. So we'll take a look at those charts as I talked about and see if any of those charts are showing us good, juicy prices. Of course, as we think about alt season, some people say alt season's never happening again. Some people, like myself, are still hoping and waiting for alt season. And in the last two cycles, when did we get alt season? This is worth repeating over and over again. We did not see alt season until Bitcoin topped or was in the process of forming a top. I don't believe Bitcoin has topped yet. I talk about this a lot more in my weekly rainbow chart Bitcoin cycle videos on Monday, so subscribe if you want to hear more about that. But I don't believe we've topped yet. And you can look at a chart as simple as this one and say, yeah, the top probably isn't in yet, even in comparison to prior cycles. So that is something I am looking for as well. And as far as the altcoin year index, still relatively low. We are making a higher low. And I have seen the argument, and I've wondered about this myself. There are millions of altcoins being created, meme coins, garbage coins on the Solana chain and Tron chain and others. I don't really group that into a chart like this. And I remember even last cycle, there were tens of thousands of altcoins, new altcoins being made. It was orders of magnitude above what we saw in 2017. So I do think that a chart like this still holds merit, and we will still see this spike by the time the true alt season is going to come. And we haven't really seen Bitcoin dominance have a big drop off yet. So if that hasn't dropped off in a large way, why would we see this spike yet? That's just the conditions for it haven't even happened yet. So taking a look at Bitcoin, where's that right now? Well, we've had 3 red weeks in a row ever since the sell signal, and the price is just hanging out on this trend line, which is the double top trend line from the prior cycle in 2021. As you can see, the 20-week moving averages are right there at around 90K. Going over to the daily time frame, that double top trend line, you can see it right there. And you can also see the 100-day moving average has gotten bought up twice pretty well. So on the daily, there is this buy signal. In order for this to really be taken seriously, though, we need to see candle bodies closing above and turning the 50-day moving average back into support instead of resistance. So 98K, if we start getting closes at 98K or higher, then that will bode well for Bitcoin. As I talked about before with the altcoin season index, and then we're also going to just take a look at Bitcoin dominance. This has just been in an overall uptrend ever since the cycle bottom. So looking at the weekly, it only got underneath the 20-week moving average once and still bounced up off the 50-week moving average. So 50-week moving average, that is often the dividing line. That's the gold line right there. The 50-week moving average is often the dividing line between bullishness and bearishness. This says that dominance for Bitcoin is still bullish. And until dominance turns bearish, we can't expect altcoins to really take off overall with the rest of the market. So going over to our first crypto that we're going to talk about, which is SUI. And I want to make sure I get the chart that, well, the one I have charted before And as we can see, so I drew this fib from the high to the low. And with this recent move, when I took the fib off log scale, you can see that SUI got up to the 2618 at around $4.92. Now it did wick above that a little. No closes though. This is on the weekly. And then because it wasn't able to take the 2618, weekly sell signal came down. You can see all these candle bodies forming a base at this 1618. The wick came down quite a bit lower, almost to the 50-week moving average. I'm sure there's a 200-day moving average there, but it got close to this price at around 237 right now. That average is at around 240, but the price, like I said, it's still hanging at the 1618. So you like the base here. So let's see what we got on the daily. On the daily, we have a little bit of a different story here. So again, remember what I said about the 200-day moving average? That's this right here. So if you've been buying the 200-day moving average in recent history, that's been the most discounted time. However, as it got above the 200-day, yes, it was able to take the 1618 fib, but then it got rejected and sold off from the 100-day, which isn't great because then we have these series of lower highs. Came down to the 200-day. It is green right now. It'll probably get back above the 1618, but that 100-day at around 362, that is key. So right now we're just sort of ranging, and the next move, whether it's above the 100 and the 50-day or below the 200-day, that'll probably tell us more about the direction it is truly going into. So if we take off our buy sell signal and let's go to some of our more macro indicators, the stochastic RSI. This is somewhat promising that the stochastic RSI is bottoming out. It hasn't flipped positive into the shaded area yet, so no confirmation yet. But after that big move up that SUI had, it's normal for these to come back down to the 20-week and the 50-week moving average. Now for me, this is still a little rich for my blood personally. I would be willing to be patient, and if SUI did break down more and get down to this former area at around 216, 215, I might consider getting in at SUI at those prices. Right now, it just had a large move up, and we can turn the fibs back on log scale. We can see the 786 area might even be an area for support. So I'd be waiting for prices in here, $1.58 all the way to maybe about 220. That's me personally. I'm willing to be patient because from this recent low, we're talking about a move that was 1,058%. So quite a large move. And then just the correction that it had from that top. I mean, even to right now, yes, it's 40% off, but it's 40% off of that 1,000% move. So SUI did get all the way from, around 67 cents all the way up to $5 or so. So just something to keep in mind with SUI. And then the other altcoins we were going to look at, I was wanting to go through these in order. So we'll do ONDO, NEAR, and then ICP. So let's go over to ONDO, see if there's maybe some better value in ONDO Finance. And as far as ONDO Finance, we looked at this during a live stream a couple weeks ago, and something I noticed is that this looked like a descending channel, and it really was one, even though it had a little bit of a wick down here. But overall, it is in this descending channel. Now, as far as value, what do we see horizontally here is that the 786, let's make sure our fib's off log. It looks like it's off log, or it's on log, but good. So it is finding a base at the 786 as well as the 200-day. So if you really like ONDO, I don't hate this area for dollar cost averaging in. If it is the breakdown underneath there on the daily, then we have to look for the 50-week moving average, and that one is all the way down at the 618. So the next area for support would be at around 98 cents. Right now, like we said, it's staying above the 786, but the 618, 98 cents, you can even add in the 0.65 on your fib to get that golden pocket area. And so it's as easy as doing this 0.65, and then we will make sure we're turning the shaded background area down. So The 50-week moving average moving right in there. Right now, you can see that, I mean, it still is a red weekly sell signal it's playing out. So went positive, still going somewhat negative, but as we zoom in here, what do we see? That wick, it's on the 618, it's on the 20-week moving averages. And again, overall, this has still been pretty red. It did get a little bit of buy support off the 200-day and the 786. Let's go back out to the weekly and let's take a look at our stochastic. We'll throw on the MACD for this one as well. So stochastic still going down, hasn't truly found a base yet. As far as the MACD, the moving average convergence, divergence, this one still looks like it can become more negative. So again, I'd be looking at what happens here in the dollar area. If you dollar cost average in here a little bit, I think that's fine. It's the beginning of decent discount territory. But if it does get down here, and if you like ONDO, I like ONDO, I might pick some up at those prices. Not telling you what to do though. And as far as the relative strength index, at least on the weekly, we do have some higher lows here. So if this forms a base, I see this oftentimes, is that altcoins and stocks, when they do well, they get around this 50 area and then get a nice bounce. So if that starts to happen and it coincides with the stochastic flipping positive and it's within the range here of $1 to $1.20, then that might be the confirmation you're waiting for, outside of a buy signal, of course, with that indicator. All right, let's go over to Near protocol. And so Near, this is one we've charted before, obviously. On the weekly, you can see here that it wasn't able to take that 0.65 completely. So that golden pocket area got sold off. And again, we're drawing this macro fib from the high to the low. And Near has come down all the way to the 382. So some people believe that not just the 50-week moving average, but staying above the macro fib, 382 is still a good bullish positive sign. You don't want to see it break underneath that. So we did have these ascending bases, but once it broke underneath this trend line of these higher lows, you can see it caught the next area of support. And going over, I'm sure the daily, it's not going to tell us too much more than what the weekly can. But the weekly possibly forming a base here. So if you like Near, it's something to consider. Just looking at this as a stochastic, it's bottoming out. And the last time it was in this discount range was last August. And if you don't remember, last August, Bitcoin had a 30% sell-off. It was brutal for alts. And also January of 24. So this has been a year. You're getting the lowest prices within the range of the last year. So if you really like Near protocol, it's in that discount territory. No confirmation yet, but if you are looking for value to pick up, then there's no arguing. There's the discount. What is concerning here, you see this 20-week moving average, as soon as it was getting a move up, it wasn't even reaching it. It was getting sold off already and then coming back down, forming a base. So yeah, this one, if we take a look at this wick and we just draw all the way back here, you see where that wick's matching up. So that got bought up pretty nicely. And right now at the current price, $3.17 all the way down to $2.70. Looks like there's buyers in here. So we'll see if this holds up. And obviously if it doesn't, this thing could break down all the way to $2.45 and even $2. So that'd be the 236. But obviously seeing the 382 hold would be better than the alternative. So going over to our last one, ICP. And as you can see, we have not moved our chart in a while. So I want to make sure I get this as correct as possible. We're going to go right here. That's pretty close, but we can get it closer. There we go. I'm just trying to line it up with the bottom here. So some of these charts I'll admit I struggle with a little bit as far as how to draw the Fibonacci retracement from high to low, because let's be honest, this was not the high. You can do the math. It just was literally impossible. So I don't know why these charts start out that way, but I went to the price about that it was listing when it was on Coinbase, I believe, it was around that $200 area. And so when you draw that out, you will see then the fibs seem to be playing relatively closely to where it is. Of course, something like this, you can try to correct it. If we go to the structure over here, you see those 236s line up a little bit more. I do kind of like that actually a little bit because you can see, I'm just looking for the fibs. This definitely looks like it's showing better fib support in more areas as we zoom in here. So I know it's not perfect, so take the fib analysis with a grain of salt, not telling you to trust it. But you definitely see the last time I was charting this, we were drawing this wedge and it broke under. And so it really hit the measured move of that wedge. Sometimes this doesn't always work, but sometimes when people draw these wedge formations, and again, please do not take this technical analysis to the bank here. Sometimes people say, I've seen this, that when you have that wedge, whatever the gap is, then you take that down, and my God, would you look at that? That whatever the range of that wedge, how it started out, when it has its eventual move, look for a bottom around there. And so there you go. It's right there underneath the poorly 236 drawn fib that I have there. So did hit that measured move, and ICP is forming a base here. And think of the range that this is in, from $7 all the way down to $5.60. We haven't seen those discounts since last August, July, and before that, this move up, that was December of 2023. So it's been over a year, and we have a couple altcoins that we can see that within the last year, we are within the range of those lows. And, if you were buying ICP before, right now, from its most recent high, it is 67% off. So again, I don't take whatever this bull jive is too seriously over there. But even if you take this price action into account, you can say, hey, it's 91% off. So if ICP is something you like, maybe it's worth a little bit of an educated gamble, but just something to keep an eye on. Again, I think now's the time. If you believe in alt season, now's the time to look for those discounts. Sure, we might see lower prices, but we are seeing some structure and support for where prices are currently at. And like I talked about with ONDO, if prices go lower, I might pick up more then. And I think anytime, if you've done your research, if you like buying something here, you should love buying it here. You should be doing enough research that you get excited about buying more when it gets at even more discount prices. But again, we're trying to hedge against risk and look for those other indicators, the stochastic, the MACD, the buy signals as well. So make sure you're not just buying into the falling knives. This is still falling, so maybe we see some more support here. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you like ICP, ONDO, Near Protocol, or SUI? Do you own any of those? Are you looking to buy any of those at certain discount prices? I think there's a lot of good things about ONDO and SUI and Near that I've read. ICP, people seem very torn on which way that one's going to go. But these have been altcoins I've looked at in the past, so curious to know your thoughts. And yeah, discount wise, they're not horrible. So anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Tomorrow I will try to put out a video on macro stock market data. We'll do our stock video, and then Friday we will do a live stream, probably sometime around maybe noon Central Time. And looks like the weather will be good, so no power outages this week. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a great day.